Right, so I was having a look at the pistol crossbow and I noticed it's got these two, you've got a flat section here with two threaded holes on it. So what I assume that is for is probably for mounting on a mountable quiver, bolt quiver, whatever. So you put them on and you got your bolts laid like that. That's what I'm sure that's for. But what I thought was, I reckon I might be able to make a little mount for this to put on here to hold a torch on it. So I thought maybe use, if you can't get kydex, then just use HDPE, you know, oil cans, anything like that, shampoo bottles. Just use that to make it out if you can't get kydex. But as I have got some black kydex, I've got a bigger bit than that, but I've got some black kydex, what would do it, and I reckon I might be able to mount this torch like this. It won't be directly underneath, but maybe slightly to one side. So what I'll do in a minute, we'll get to doing that, and then I'll show you also what these bands are for here. Now if I use big enough bolts, I reckon you could still put the torch on and maybe even make some sort of bolt quiver as well. But I've got to try and figure that out. And you may be able to both on it, because all you've got to do is just use long bolts rather than short ones. Like I said, I'll show you what these are for in a minute. Just a simple idea you can do. You'll only be able to do it with this one because you can't put bands around here. I'll show you what that is in just a second. So the bands, nothing special, but if you want to keep a couple of bolts with your crossbow at all times, that's just a couple of bands. You could use elastic bands. So basically just use elastic bands. Put a few bolts in there underneath the bands. And that way you've got a few bolts with the crossbow at all times. It's not ideal, but it's there, and you can pull them out singly and with them in there you can still cock it as well. Put these back in there and show you. I don't think it gets in the way of cocking. And they're still on there. Right, so we'll get to the bit, I better shoot this in the target. We'll get to the bit now of making the holder for the torch. The only thing I've done since is I've just made these holes a little bit longer in case it needed to be moved back and forward. And I've just got 2 bolts just about fit. And the torch was on. I think I might need to change the battery on that. I'll turn the lights off to try and make it a bit darker in here. I'll turn this back on in a minute to show you properly if the torch is going to work. The only thing I've got on it, I've got this bit of string which is for hanging it up. I'm wanting to take that off or do something with that because it's getting in the way. Not so much now. Oh, I was trying to get the strobe on it. That was the strobe. Right, well that's a way to mount a torch on these types of pistol crossbow. And then I suppose this might just come out as it is, or you might have to, no, I've probably got to loosen the bolts up to get this out. But just loosen these up, and you can take that out and then just leave that connected whenever you need it. Like I said, you should still, these bolts are long enough, maybe we might be able to make something to hold crossbow bolts there as well. Later on, if I get the chance, what I'll do is I'll see if I can do a bit of nighttime shooting with it as well. We'll have to do that later.